Hey there, welcome back to my kitchen. In today's video, we're going to be making 3 different meals that are all cooked in or on one pan. One pan meals are perfect for easy cleanup, and overall I just think they're a lot more simple. So let's go ahead and get started, and I will show you these 3 awesome, easy one pan meals. To begin today, we're making this one pot sausage and rice. I'm not sure if I've made this before on here, but we love this dinner. It's very, very flavorful. To begin, I'm just going to chop up half of a yellow onion along with 1 red bell pepper. With the red bell pepper, you'll want to make sure you chop that up very fine. Next, you're going to need 1 package of smoked sausage, or you can use kielbasa, it doesn't really matter. I like to use turkey, but you can use any kind that you like. I'm going to slice those down the center, and then I'm going to chop them all into half moon shapes. Moving over here to my skillet, I'm going to add about 1 tablespoon of avocado oil. Once the oil is hot, I'm going to add my sausage in here and just let this get nice and brown on all sides. Once I'm seeing some good color on the sausage, I'm just going to remove this into a separate bowl for right now and set it aside. Then, using the same pan, if needed, add a little bit more oil in there. And you're also going to add the onion and bell pepper. These are going to cook in here for about 5 to 7 minutes until they're starting to get tender. At that point, you're going to add in 2 cups of low sodium chicken broth, 1 cup of uncooked white rice, and 2.5 tablespoons of tomato paste. Next, for the seasonings, I'm adding a ½ teaspoon of smoked paprika, about a ½ teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of oregano, a 1/4 teaspoon of red pepper flakes, but if you don't like those, you can skip that, a 1/4 to a ½ teaspoon of salt, and a couple shakes to a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. I would really just do the salt and pepper on your own taste, add a little bit, and then you can kind of add more later once you're able to taste it. Now I'm just going to get this all mixed together and scrape the bottom a little bit to pick up the flavor from the sausage. Let this simmer until all the liquid has been absorbed by the rice, and then you're going to add your sausage and any juices in the bowl back in and stir it up all together. Here's what my bowl looked like in the end. I do have to say, if you have a larger family, you should probably double, maybe even triple this recipe. It made plenty for me and my husband. It makes about 4 bowls, but if you have more people to feed, you might have to make some extra. This recipe is extremely flavorful. The ingredients are fairly simple, which I really like, and overall this is just a really easy, delicious meal. Next up, we're going to make this honey chicken and potatoes. To begin, I'm just going to go ahead and preheat my oven to 400 degrees. Now over here to my cutting board, I do have about half a bag of baby red potatoes and half a bag of some Brussels sprouts. For the potatoes, I'm just going to cut those into smaller pieces, not too small. And then for all the Brussels sprouts, I'm just going to slice them in half. Now to begin making the honey sauce, we're going to add a 1/4 cup of honey with 1 tablespoon of butter, ½ teaspoon of minced garlic, a couple shakes of salt, pepper, and garlic powder. Now this is going in the microwave for about 30 seconds. This is just going to melt the butter and help thin out that honey. Once it comes out, go ahead and give it a good mix together and then set it aside for just a moment. Now, as you can see, I have prepared my baking sheet here. I added some foil over here to about 1/3 of my pan, and then I'm taking some nonstick spray and spraying down the foil and the rest of the pan. Next, you're going to add 1 chicken breast sliced in half to make 2 pieces over onto that foil. And we're also going to add our potatoes onto the opposite side. I took some more of my avocado spray and just sprayed the potatoes lightly, that way the seasonings will stick to it. And then for my seasonings, I know some of you aren't going to like what I'm about to say. I seasoned with my heart here. I didn't measure any of these. I just went ahead and added some salt, pepper, garlic powder, paprika, and some of my favorite all-purpose seasoning here onto the potatoes and both sides of the chicken. You truly do not have to be exact here with the seasonings, just season as much as you want. I would add a little extra salt to the potatoes just because potatoes tend to need more salt. And then once they're covered in seasonings, I'm going to go ahead and spread out all of those potatoes so that they can cook evenly and get nice and browned up and crispy on the edges. After seasoning both sides of the chicken, I'm then going to take the honey mixture we made and add that right over top of all of my chicken. Then I stuck this in my oven for 15 minutes. While that's in the oven, I'm going to go ahead and prepare my Brussels sprouts. I added just a little bit of avocado oil onto them, and then I sprinkled them with all of the same seasonings: salt, pepper, paprika, garlic powder, and my favorite all-purpose seasoning, which I will link down below for you. Get those all mixed together, and then we're just going to set them aside until the pan comes out of the oven. And then here's what it should look like after 15 minutes. My potatoes were pretty tender at this point, but I really want them to get nice and dark on both sides, so I'm going to kind of flip them all around a little bit. This is also the point you're going to add on your Brussels sprouts and just kind of mix those in with the potatoes. Try to lay them as flat as you can. Also at this time, my chicken was actually cooked all the way through. My chicken was very thin since it was just one piece that I sliced in half. So if you're using two bigger pieces of chicken, at this point they'll go back in the oven and finish cooking. I did stick this back in for 10 extra minutes, but here's what the chicken looked like when it was all done. And then after that additional 10 minutes, here is what my Brussels sprouts and my potatoes looked like. I actually made this meal while my husband was out of town, and it did feed me for 2 days. I like to take the extra honey mixture that is on the foil and drizzle it over my potatoes and vegetables. I don't like to do this in the oven because the honey will burn very easily on them when they're trying to crisp up on the pan, so that's why I did add the honey sauce over them afterwards. My chicken is looking great here. It was not dry. That is why I pulled it off the pan at that 15-minute mark. But overall, this turned out really, really good, and it was fairly simple. Now we're making another variation of taco skillet, and this one turned out absolutely delicious. To begin here, I'm just adding 1 pound of ground beef and half of a yellow onion that I chopped up into my big pot. My ground beef was still a little frozen, so I just let it all cook in here until everything was cooked through. If needed at this point, you can go ahead and drain off any grease from the ground beef, and then you're going to add in 1 to 2 teaspoons of minced garlic. The garlic will cook in here for about a minute or so until you can smell it nice and strong. Now we're going to add in 2 cups of beef broth, about a half cup to 1 cup of frozen corn. I just used what was left in my bag. About a cup of your favorite salsa, and then 1 cup of taco sauce. You can use mild or spicy, it's totally up to you. Next, add 1 package of taco seasoning, along with 2 cups of uncooked pasta. In this recipe, I used some brown rice gluten-free elbow noodles, and they cooked perfectly in here, so if you are somebody that has to use gluten-free noodles, this worked perfectly. I got this all mixed together and then I let this begin to simmer. I gave it one final stir and then added the lid, and I did stir this periodically just to make sure nothing was sticking, but you'll just let this go until all the liquid has disappeared from the pan. Once there is no visible liquid, you'll go ahead and add in 1 cup of cheese. For the cheese, you can use a taco blend, Mexican blend, Fiesta blend, or you can use mild cheddar, Colby Jack, or even cheddar jack cheese. Get this all mixed together and then spread it out evenly in your pan, and then you're just going to top it with another cup of cheese. Place the lid on and give this cheese just a few minutes to melt, and then it's ready to eat. Here's what my finished bowl looked like in the end. Let me tell you, this meal was very filling. On top, I did just add a nice big scoop of sour cream. I feel like you can never go wrong with sour cream. If you want to, you could add some hot sauce or any other toppings that you desire. But for me, this was perfect. Both of us really enjoyed this meal, and like I said, if you like to use gluten-free noodles or somebody in your family is gluten-free, these gluten-free noodles worked perfectly in this meal. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I do hope that you enjoyed and found a recipe that looks good to you. Don't forget to leave me a flower down in the comments below to let me know that you made it all the way through today's video, and I will see you back here on Sunday for a new one. Bye!